Start up? Okay, we're recording? All right. All right, good evening, everyone. We're going to start the meeting. All right. At this time, we're going to salute the flag. Everyone, please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Chairman's statement. The notice requirement of the Open Public Meeting Law for this meeting has been satisfied. A copy of the notice has been sent to the Asbury Park Press and the Coaster. It is also filed with the Office of the Township Clerk. Emergency notice. There's emergency notice signs throughout the building if we have an emergency. Reading that. No smoking, obviously, folks. Board policy. No new cases will be started after 10 p.m. and no new testimony will be taken after 10:30. In addition, the applicant will be limited to 45 minutes per testimony. Notice all meetings will be video and audio taped and shown on the Township Oceans Community Cable Channel, Channel 77 on Verizon Fios and Channel 77 on Cablevision. Please silence all phones during testimony and start of the meeting. At this time, we're going to move into the Park at Ocean condominiums.
Mr. Chair.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr.
I'm sorry.
Before we get to that,
Yes.
I'd just like to make an announcement. If any members of the public are here on the Bio Investment Corp. application, that will not be heard tonight. It's being carried to June 22nd, same time, same place, with no further notice. So if you're here for that application, you do not need to stay. That will not be heard.
Thank you.
That's what you're here for?
June 22nd. Welcome.
And you can always double check the website, our agenda's on there, or give us a call and we'll let you know. Okay?
Okay, Mr. Chairman.
Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Caplan?
Here.
Mr. Deal?
Here.
Mr. Berkowitz? Mr. Gossler? Mr. Manal?
Here.
Ms. Valente? Mr. Bogdanovich?
Here.
Mr. Mamie? Vice Chairman Candace?
Here.
And Chairman DeFeo.
All right, we have a quorum. We'll start. We'll begin with the Park at Ocean Condominium Association, Lot 33, Lot 19.03, Deal Avenue, and the C7 zone.
Before we get into it, just want to mark some exhibits. A1 is the site plan application. A2 is a color rendering of proposed decks dated June 7th, 2024. A3 is color rendering of deck and memo from HOA. A4 is conformance sketch plan variance exhibit prepared by Collier's Engineering dated March 30th, 2026. A5 is utility as-built survey prepared by Bowling Consulting Group dated July 31st, 2023. And I'll mark the B exhibits. B1 is the board's planners report dated April 21st, 2026. B2 is the board engineers report dated April 24th, 2026. B3 is the memo from code enforcement dated 4/16/2026. B4 is the memo from DPW dated 4/16/26. B5 is the traffic safety report dated 4/17/26. B6 is crime prevention report dated 4/17/26. B7 is fire marshal's report dated 4/27/26. B8 is a flood risk notification report prepared by NJDEP dated 10/22/2024. And B9 is the resolution of approval dated 10/28/2019.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for having us. My name is Chris Beekman of the Beekman Law Firm, appearing on behalf of the applicant, the Park at Ocean Condominium Association, Inc. We're seeking preliminary and final amended site plan approval. As per the plans, the proposal is to increase the size of the approved decks. The current approval right now is for approximately 1,000 square foot deck. 100 square foot deck. Proposal is going to be decks or patios, approximately 11 feet by 22.5 feet, approximately 247.5 square feet. With the notice, we did indicate that we may also need bulk variance approval. I just defer to your planner at that point if testimony is going to be required this evening. We did note in the report that it may not be needed, but we do have Mr. Lescavage here tonight to testify as it relates to the bulk variances. With that, I will call up Mr. Lescavage. He is going to testify to the plans in general, the application, and supply, again, any type of planning testimony and engineering testimony the board sees fit.
Nick, we're just gonna swear you in first. Yeah.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you shall give shall be the truth?
I do.
And state your name and spell it for the record, please.
Mark Lescavage, Lescavage.
Is that Mark M-A-R-K or M-A-R-C?
M-A-R-K.
And would you like to enlighten the board as to your education and experience?
Sure. I have a bachelor's degree in civil engineering from NJIT. I've been a licensed professional engineer since 1997. I am also a professional planner in New Jersey since 1998. Have testified at many planning boards and zoning boards throughout New Jersey, including this board in, I believe, 2022. And my license is still current, both of them.
And we would just offer Mr. Lescavage as an expert for testimony purposes.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. For the record, I'm Geographic Discipline Leader of Collier's Engineering and Design, located in Holmdel, New Jersey.
And you'll be testifying as both planner and engineer? Or just?
Correct. Yes.
And Mr. Lescavage, you just passed out this exhibit. Can you just tell us what this is so we can mark it?
Sure. This is the Park at Ocean aerial exhibit. It is an overlay of the proposed improvements on a recent aerial survey.
Okay.
Mark like these?
We're going to mark this A6. Okay.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Lescavage, if you can just take us through with regard to the proposal this evening, giving the board any testimony that they may seek for the extension to the deck or patios.
Sure. Okay. Starting with the site location and its existing conditions, the property is identified as Block 33, Lot 19.03. It's located wholly in the C7 Community Mixed Use Zone. It is the residential component of the Ocean Commons development, mixed use development. Was originally constructed by Lennar, has an address of 1603 Highway 35. Total tract area is 14.88 acres. What you see before you on the exhibit, the reference property is highlighted in yellow in the center. North is to the top of the page. What you can see there is the existing townhouse development, which consists of 12 buildings and 70 units. In terms of the surrounding uses, you could see to the west is the Ocean Commons commercial development area, including the Miller Ale House and the Turning Point and the Wawa. To the north, you could see there's a wooded area, which is the stream corridor of the Poplar Brook. To the east, you could see the library site. To the south is Deal Road, and further to the south is a residential development. So the project background, the original development received site plan approval in 2019, and then again subdivision approval in 2021. Construction on this part of the project, the residential portion, began in 2022 and was fully completed by the end of 2024. As part of that approval, most of the units were permitted 10 by 10 decks. Buildings 11 and 12, which is the westernmost buildings shown here, were permitted an 8-foot by 14-foot 9-inch deck. And building 3, which is toward the northeast end of the property, did not have a deck approval. So that summarizes the existing conditions and most of what's been approved and built in the site plan. So our firm was approached by the Homeowners Association to look at the feasibility of expanding the deck sizes throughout the development. So instead of the 10 by 10 deck, they asked us to look into putting in either a deck or a patio with the size 11 foot by 22.5 feet, which is approximately 247 square feet. And that option would be either an elevated deck that would meet the first floor, or a step-down patio of an equivalent size. Now they put that out to all 70 units. Not all of the homeowners wanted to participate in that, and we knew when we looked at it there could be the potential for relief being required, or at a minimum an amended site plan, which is what we're here for tonight.
Just clarification, it's not an amended site plan by definition in the ordinance, even though you're amending the site plan. It's a minor site plan. Okay, that's just technical definitions.
Understood. So will we say that we're proposing a minor site plan for the decks? And with that, not all of the unit owners wanted to participate, so we were asked to look at just 46 of the 70 units on the plan. And what you see before you is the 46 units in the 12 buildings. All the areas that are that magenta, that represents the deck off the back of those units. Now, when we looked at this in the ordinance, it was our interpretation, and the very conservative interpretation, is that the deck would be part of the principal building, and therefore needed to meet the setback requirement of the zone, which was a 20-foot perimeter setback. And when we did our analysis of the project for those 46 units, we found that there was 13 units that required relief from the 20-foot setback. Mainly it is in building 3 in the northeast area, and in the 2 buildings 11 and 12 along the eastern limit. And that's where, depending on your interpretation, would need variance relief. There's also a
Mark, just for the board's edification, my report says there are no variances necessary. That's in error. I did miss those setback variances. Mr. Lescavage is correct.
Okay. And just there's the 13 setback variances, and I'm going to elicit those of which units they are, but just wanted to get through the other 2 variances. There is also an encroachment to the eastern parking area. So in the mixed-use zone, there is a requirement to be a certain footage off of the library building that's on the eastern portion, and also in general any structure on that lot. And with that, there is 1 unit that violates the setback from the library building, and 1 unit that violates the setback from the structure, in this case actually the parking area. So I guess if the interpretation, we're proceeding as variances, I guess I should list the unit numbers and what the variances are. Yeah, no, I haven't. Okay, so the variances for perimeter setback First, going with the building number 2 in the northeast end of the, building number 3, the northeast end of the property. The units in that structure, there's 6 of them. There's a variance where the deck would be 13.3 feet off of the perimeter property line. There are then 7 units in the buildings 11 and 12 where those units would be 16.2 feet off of the western property line. That's units 161, 165, 167, 169, 171, 175, and 179. And going back to the easterly structure setback, that was unit 111. It's 71.4 feet off of the parking area where 75 feet is required. And then the easterly setback off of the building, off of the library building, the violation is unit 113, 96.7 feet, where you need 100 feet. So that's all the relief that's required in this application. Design consistency, so to ensure that there's a cohesive appearance across the development, the deck materials and the colors will be controlled by the HOA. The railings will be white PVC, and this will ensure that's a uniform and coordinated architectural treatment. And then, as outlined in the reports from the professionals, in building 3, there is an existing underground stormwater management system where the decks would be potentially coming in conflict with, I think there was a question as to how much cover from the grade to that stormwater system. So the answer is that there's 4 feet of cover over the system. We did review this with our structural engineers, and the decision was that we would not put any footings over the top of that system. But we'd put the footings adjacent to the system and deep enough where they would meet the bottom of the stormwater system, so there would be no influence of the deck upon that system. The deck would overhang.
But the utility as-built plan shows that the stormwater management manholes have a rim of 56.53 and the exposed top of the 24-inch pipe elevation 55.39. So it's really that's saying there's only a foot of cover. Am I reading that wrong, or how is, I don't see where there's 4 feet of cover over the pipes.
Okay, I'm going by the as-built that we had on it.
The utility as-built survey of July 31st.
Yeah, I was going by the cross-section of when we actually constructed it. Well, regardless of the cover, we're not putting the footings in the system, so.
Okay. So that those, you're saying, would not be decks. They might be.
Well, they would. I think there's a choice from the homeowner. That's why we put it as decks or patios. So they may do patios. They may also do a deck where the footing would be. Where the deck would be less than the 11 feet, and where the footings would be outside the system, but then there would be a certain amount of the deck that could cantilever over the top of the stormwater system. So it may not be 11 feet, maybe 7 feet or something like that, and they would have that option. but we're committing to the fact that we wouldn't have the footings over the top of the stormwater system.
Okay. If the I guess the homeowner association or the would have to perform any maintenance, if there's a cantilevered overhang of the deck over the system, that might be in the way, might have to be removed in order to maintain the pipes.
Yeah, it's a great point. We did talk to the homeowners. They are very much aware of it, not only for maintenance, but, you know, in the unlikely position where there would be a collapse, they understand that the decks would have to be taken out to get to the system. And they'll make that arrangement and make them, with the agreement when they're building, they'll understand that and sign off on that, if you will.
And that would be the case for either a deck or a patio.
Right, but a patio, I think you're talking about a paver patio would be a different impact. Right?
Yeah, you could remove pavers and put them back. Concrete would be different. You'd have to jackhammer that out. It's something for the board to consider. You know, you've heard the testimony. I think we would have to see a detail that shows, you know, exactly where these deck footings would go in relation to the recharge strength. If the board were to consider that, and it's you know, up to you guys whether you want for in that particular building 3. So that was all I had for that one.
Does this condition only affect building 3?
Well, it looks like building 2 also has a similar situation. Mark, maybe you were going to talk
Yeah,
about
that building 2, there is one unit that is just at the edge of the 11 feet. We think we can design around that one, if you will, without affecting the footings.
It looks like 2 units, 123 and 121.
Yes.
So that one does not extend as far into the underground drainage system as building 3, but it still does look like it could be over top of it, and it would be the same situation. If it ever needed to be maintained or exposed, those decks or patios would have to be removed in order to do that.
Okay.
Do you know what they're doing for building 3 or 2? Are they patios or?
They have the option. They haven't picked as yet. The application is either the decks or the patios, and they understand if they do the decks that.
But there's no indication one way or another.
I think they want to do the decks.
They want to do decks.
And any applications made by the unit owner will still have to come before the town to get approval through construction as well, correct?
Correct. And just going through the reviews that we received, and I'll just note that there's no new encroachments into any regulated areas, freshwater wetlands. No additional environmental impacts were identified, and we did receive either no comment or no objection from code enforcement, DPW, fire marshal, police department, or traffic safety. And then I believe the Director of Community Development had recommended allowing flexibility for all the unit owners to be part of this, but once again, this is a financial commitment that was only made by the 46 units. So theoretically, the other 24, if they wanted to do something different, they would have to come back to this board.
46? No, I think it's 51.
I thought I read 51 too. It's down to 46, or that's 51 in the report.
I believe it's 46.
Just a question for Colleen, actually. Are we allowed to approve it more broadly?
did.
I mean, or is that something that they have to, permitted to do that? Can we change that as the board?
When you say,
Like for those that didn't pay for these services, I mean, could we?
yeah, they'd have to go
They
through
would
the
have
whole
to go
site
through
plan
the, okay,
again.
so we
Minor
can't,
site plan,
we're
they have
limited to just what's
attorney, the whole thing,
presented.
the HOA's
Okay,
approval, and the whole thing.
okay,
But, I mean, yeah,
as the
what
board,
was presented, you can approve. My suggestion was only to include everybody since they were coming here, and doesn't mean they have to do it down
Okay.
the line. Any previous or subsequent owners that wanna do it
okay,
have the ability, but
thank you.
they'd have to go through this
Right.
all over again.
I have a technical question. I don't know if either Ben or Colleen can answer this. Is the construction complete on this, or is it still, because bonds haven't been released, is it still under construction?
Yeah.
Then, okay, then I stand,
It was done?
I will stand corrected
done.
on my
No, they're
comment
done.
earlier. What?
They're done.
They're done? Oh, okay, they are done, so it's a minor site plan, it's not an amended site plan, okay.
I counted with my finger 51, but I'll double check.
Can we take 5 real quick? We'll just double check our number on that.
Yeah, it could be 51.
It's noted in a few of the reports as well that was 51. We just want to double check.
Okay.
If we can, real quick. Yes.
If it's okay with the chairman? Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
please. We're back, yes. Roll call again?
Roll call. Councilwoman Kaplan?
Here.
Mr. Beal?
Here.
Mr. Berkowitz? Mr. Goslin?
No, you just have to close your letter, sure.
Mr. Mel?
Here,
Mr. Vagovich?
Here.
And Vice Chairman Coogan?
Here.
All right. So with resuming, if Mr. Liskevich, if you could just clarify with regard to the amount of units that are subject to this application.
Yes, and I apologize for that. We did start out with 46 units, but 5 more came on board. And I did check our exhibit and our plan submitted. It is 51 of the 70. Having said that, the only other testimony I had is with regard to the justifying the variances. So unless there's other questions, I can go into that.
I could
Okay.
ask it afterwards, but, the existing, downspouts and drainage pipes, are those gonna be, impacted by this construction? Because there's like, it looks like there's a collection system that goes along the back of the buildings.
Correct. There's a collection system that is a couple feet off of the back of the building and then ties into the underground system. It appears that with the deck, that would be on the elevated portion of the, so it should not impact that system.
Would there be a requirement that the homeowners would be marking off the leaders just to make sure there was a...
Yes, absolutely. We could agree to that.
Did you also address the next point in the letter about privacy fences?
We believe the existing privacy fences won't be impacted. Okay, so in terms of the bulk relief for this application, we believe this proposal would satisfy the criteria of a C2 variances. That is positive criteria. We believe that the application would promote the general welfare by enhancing the livability and functionality to units through what would be meaningful private outdoor space. They provide sufficient space for residential use, particularly in a townhome setting where the private yards are very limited. They serve as a decentralized recreation space, which is especially important given in this development there are no on-site amenity areas. And I think that's important to point out. And we believe they will contribute to the desirable visual environment through what we would say is a uniform and coordinated design. So those are 4 purposes of zoning, specifically purpose A, E, G, and I. Importantly, the proposal does not increase density, does not increase building height or the intensity of use, and the design represents an enhancement to what is an already existing and improved development. In terms of the negative criteria, the proposal can be granted without substantial detriment to the public good. Any encroachments, as you can see, are very minor and primarily located in the rear yard areas. There's no adverse impacts to light, air, or privacy beyond what is typical for a townhome development. No concerns were raised by the reviewing entities other than the ones that we spoke about. And we believe in terms of the infrastructure and the stormwater constraints, we can adequately address those based on the testimony provided. The proposal also does not impair the zone plan or ordinance. The overall development pattern remains unchanged. Residential use is not intensified. The design enhances the functionality of the units while maintaining the intent of the zoning ordinance. So in conclusion, the proposed amendment represents a modest and well-controlled improvement to the development that enhances livability, provides functional outdoor space, and maintains consistency with the approved site design. So in my opinion, as a professional planner, this board can grant the noted variances as the benefits outweigh any potential detriments.
Thank you, Mr. Lescavage. Is there any other questions of Mr. Lescavage prior to concluding testimony?
Yeah, I just have a couple. On the privacy fences, can you point, I don't remember where I saw them. I thought they were in between each unit when I drove by the other day.
They
Are they in the back?
They are at the party wall between each unit, yes.
Okay.
But the decks will be on the other side, on both sides of each unit, so that they won't be impacted.
They're on the side, okay. So are you looking for a privacy fence? Because I know some of them are getting close to the library there. Are you looking for a privacy fence there too, or no?
No, we would not. In terms of the library, if you have been out there, you'll see that there's a tree line through there. It's very hard to even see to the back of the units. I mean, you can, but
Yeah, you can. Yeah. On building number 3 too. I guess that's to our professionals because I wasn't on the board then. No decks were approved for the original one because of the drainage. Is that why? Do you know?
I can't speak to that because I wasn't the board engineer at the time here.
I'm looking at it, I'm sure the drainage was a part of it, but the other thing is that the buildings are set back at the 20-foot setback line. So any deck on those buildings would have required a variance because it would have been set back less than 20 feet. So I'm sure the decision was made not to have deck stairs to eliminate the variances because there was a lot of public opposition to that application.
I guess that question, are you looking for 10 by 10s on those ones or the larger ones on building 3? There's nothing there now, right?
no, we would be looking for the 11 by 22 and 8.
11 by 22. And you think all decks on that, not pavers or patios?
Correct. I think the testimony is based on when we were talking with the board engineer is that they may not be 11 feet because of the drainage system, but they're still looking for the a deck as opposed to just a patio there.
I don't have anyone else?
Just so we're clear, when the application was originally approved for the 10 by 10 decks, which units was it not approved for?
So, yeah, I can go through that. So
There's
there's,
only been building 3.
so building 3 had no decks approved, and buildings 11 and 12 had a different size deck. They didn't have a 10 by 10. They had a 8 foot by 14 feet deck approved. And that presumably was because of there is a setback there as well.
Any other questions from the board?
How are you gonna, just curious, how are you gonna determine that the decks won't interfere with the drainage system? I mean, is there a technique other than old maps that we're not sure are accurate? Sonar, I mean, military guys.
So that would be, so we do call out that the contractor will have to locate the system. We have an as-built, so we have a very good idea where it is. But also the design will have to be approved through the construction department. And part of that will be, as I said, they'll have to have the footings and demonstrate that it doesn't interfere with that system.
Mr. Chairman, I mentioned before that we need a detail for the deck footing and how that interacts with the stormwater system. It may be helpful for the board to see that as well, so you understand exactly what maybe like a cross section of the underground system, where the deck footings would go, the overhang, how much of an overhang is there into the system. That may be helpful for the board to make a decision.
I don't see how you can make an informed decision without that kind of information.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Everyone agree with that?
Yes.
I think that's the concern of the board, is that drainage area there. Not understanding it. I think that's why there's so many questions on patio versus deck, understanding that the deck is intrusive, you're going into the ground, trying to get a clear fact of how deep the drainage system is. Again, I understand your testimony is, hey, the homeowners understand it, but we don't quite understand the depth of it right now, presented in the facts here on that. And I think based on the professional's recommendation, we'd like to get more details on that, to understand that, and how you're gonna adjust it. And I did hear you say we would move them in, but I think we would have to understand, is the pipe straight, is it zigzag, is it affecting one homeowner, is it all of them, the whole building? I think there's some unknowns right now, specifically for building 3 and potentially building 2 with units 121 and 122 there too, on where that drainage pipe is.
Can we look at something partial, or we're just gonna kick it down the road?
You anything else, Ben, right now?
No. I guess Mr. Beal brought up an interesting idea, and maybe I'd defer to our attorney about this. If the applicant wanted to remove the decks in question and have the board vote on the remainder of the decks that are not in conflict with the stormwater management system, or present that the whole thing at a later date.
Do you want to take a few minutes?
Yeah,
to
can we just take
discuss?
a
Yeah,
second?
please, go ahead.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Are we
Thanks
good?
for allowing us some time. We appreciate it. Yeah.
Okay. So I guess we'll call the roll, just of the members that are present. Okay. Thank you.
Councilwoman Caplan?
Yeah.
Mr. Beal?
Here.
Mr. Manal?
Here.
Mr. Bogdanovich?
Here.
And Vice Chairman Cooley?
Here. I guess I'll ask you, did you have time to talk to your clients?
We did, and with regard to the running that the board's asking or requesting to be submitted, Mr. Liskevich is just going to go over that briefly, just to make sure that we submit what the board's looking for.
Okay.
So I guess I'm referring to, everybody has this drawing. I forget what exhibit number it is.
Is that the boundary as-built? Utility as-built?
No,
Color
A2.
render.
Color render.
Those decks.
Color render, okay.
A2.
So normally, if you were doing a deck and we didn't have the drainage issue, you would have your sonotube footings at the corners, right, of the deck. So what we're saying is, because we're overhanging the drainage system, we would pull back the footings to say halfway this location. So the drainage system, we would be in virgin ground. We would not be into the drainage system. And from what our structural engineers was telling us, we would bring the footings, instead of them being the normal 3 feet down, the footings would go down somewhere around 7 feet. So they would be deeper than the stormwater system. So that would decrease any bearing on the stormwater system. So,
The part of the deck will actually be cantilevered.
correct. Yeah, but I just wanted to explain exactly what that meant. And that exact width, the 11 feet, we would still look to do that 11 feet, but it may be less than that for the cantilever, because obviously there's only a certain amount of the deck that can be cantilevered without additional foundation. So we just wanted to make the board aware of that.
And just wanted to ask the board, as it relates to those units that are subject to the drainage issue, if we're able to submit a rendering that meets the board's satisfaction, would the board be willing to grant the decks on those units, or is it something where the board might only be looking to do the patio? We're just looking for some feedback on that aspect.
I think we still need to see the schematics of the drainage pipe. I understand, the 7 feet and the setback. I think the concern is, is it affecting one house, one unit? Is it a straight line, for that? And that's where,
Well, I could,
having all the facts, I know the testimony, but being able to see it, I think we'll be able to give the board a better idea of understanding that.
just to be to clarify that the drainage system is pretty much parallel to the building, so all 6 units would have would be the same cross section we would be showing.
And then Ben, you say it goes down by 123 and 122, 121 in building 2 then? Does it snake around?
We need a similar detail. It may not be as severe of an overhang for units 121 and 123, but we would still need to see how that would work.
And I might have missed it, and how high off the ground are the decks there? I don't know. If
So they would be meeting the first floor, so approximately 2.5 to 3 feet.
divert to our engineer. Is that enough room if there's an overhang to work on the pipe?
Well, I think, and there was testimony about this, if there was to be work done on the pipe, it's likely those decks or patios would have to be removed in order to access the pipes that are underneath them. If they're working on the other side of the drainage system that's closer to the property line, likely it wouldn't need to, they wouldn't need to impact the decks or patios. But regardless of the height above the ground, they would be in conflict. I think one other thing is with, if the applicant comes back with a revised plan and a detail, I think the decks would need to be like fully architecturally or structurally designed with signed and sealed plans, because essentially to the point where they could be submitted for to the building department, because we don't want to run into a case where it's approved by the board and by me, and then the building department looks at it structurally and says, no, this fence post has to be moved out 2 feet, and then they're not considering the conditions that the board put into place. So I think a full signed and sealed either structural or architectural plan of the decks should be submitted.
I guess the question would be, is there any other, is strictly the structural issue what the board has, if you guys are looking at it and say you just don't like the proximity to the property line, or, the potential for somebody, for the board to go through that expense, we really want to know is, will we get an approval if we go through this process? I think I know that's tough for you guys to say, but at least you could narrow it down that the only issue here is the issue with the drainage system, and not something else. Like if you guys gonna look at it and then say, I don't like the way it looks from this viewpoint, that's a considerable expense for the board to go through just to find out they're doing patios anyway.
I think if the board's concern is really the drainage on that, in the effect of that, essentially putting that on top of it, and then having, if there's an issue, and again, I know we're saying we're going to set it back, but if, we accidentally hit something, that I think the real concern raised by the engineers you know, if something happens during construction and not knowing 6 months down the road, you know, something is clogging the pipe. I think that's really the concern there because of the drainage issues on the property as a whole. There's a number of, I don't even know what they're called, the drain wells throughout it. I know there've been a lot of work on them throughout the whole process here that we've seen. You know, it's very open to the public, but I think that's the main concern from the engineer and the professionals here, that the setbacks, again, I think that's where Ben's, you know, recommendation is. We were really kind of want to understand, you know, the size in each one of these, you know. I know it's up to this, but, you know, those plans would be better for the board to make a more determined for the whole units as a whole, or all of them as a
I think
whole.
what the applicant is getting at is, would the board consider approving the setback variance for the decks if they satisfied the items
drainage.
that we brought up today? That if the setback variance isn't gonna be approved, they don't wanna go through the hassle of doing this work. So that's their question.
I think our issue is really the drainage issues of buildings 3 and possibly building 2, right? Like, I think that's mainly where
that
our
is what it
concern
is.
is.
Yeah,
So,
that's really the
I don't
concern.
think it's the, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it's the variances that we're concerned about.
Yeah.
She's,
If it helps the
my,
board at all, if I were the applicant's planner, I would have given the same exact testimony that Mr. Miscavige gave.
right, and I realize this might pit some of the residents versus the others, and, you know, we're good, but they're not, and I live in a neighborhood just like this, so trust me. But I think we can get there.
Thank you. We
Thank
do
you.
appreciate everybody's
But
feedback.
the variance, I mean, the setbacks, I don't think that's, like I said, the drain, like Councilwoman Kaplan said, it's really the drainage issues that,
yeah, I know you can't ask, but we were kind of just looking, I'll just be as frank as I can. We were looking at,
Right.
is there a fatal flaw that if we did this, there's, you know, something you can't get over, you know, we just wanted to know that
sure,
if possible.
yeah.
Understood.
Do you have an idea when the plans will have them, or what are we looking at, June, July? I know it's a little hard to say. This is a lot that you gotta do. Just so I wanna get it on the record, are we coming back and
I think,
what about noticing, and then we have,
I just wanna put it out there, like, I think if we're not talking about buildings 2 and 3, that, I mean, I would have been comfortable approving everything except for buildings 2 and 3, if you were going to proceed on that if you prefer to proceed on that basis. If you want the decks, patios on buildings 2 and 3, then we would need to see that further, plans, and so we can analyze them and see if there would be an issue there. So it's really, that's what, you know, we were trying to get at.
Just to clarify that too, no way we can just have that part go through and then come back for just the 8 units,
If the board's voting, they have to vote on your application.
the full
you know.
application.
I mean, they could vote on and eliminating
Correct.
those,
If
but
the
then it would be a new
application were modified as Ms. Kaplan mentioned, that becomes the application, and the board would be voting on that. If, in that case, those people in buildings 2 and 3 wanted to come back with decks, that's a different application at that point. And what, council is asking is, could the board vote on everything except for buildings 2 and 3, get that in the bag, and then come back next month on the same application with perhaps the details that we're talking about for buildings 2 and 3. And while that's a very efficient idea, I don't believe that works technically.
I think it has to be 2 applications. You know, if we make a recommendation for a resolution excluding buildings 2 and 3, please correct me, I think it's a new application for buildings 2 and 3 in the future.
Alright. Yeah. So what do you think on time? 3 weeks for the plans to get in. 3 weeks for the plans to get in, that would possibly put us at the next meeting then, if that's,
well, site plan requires 21 days
oh,
before.
yes, alright,
So I'm just looking so you don't have to renotice.
yes.
So if we announce it now,
So-
a kind of a,
21 days
We'll have to
basically
carry
have
it to July then.
There's not that much notice.
There was about 100 and something notices.
Really? You get to notice all the units.
Yeah.
I just think it'd probably be best to say July, you know, you rush through and get it in, and then by the time Ben looks at it and is able to do
And
reporting
we don't
on
want to
it.
renotice, so.
And, yeah,
Okay.
just that we could announce it now, which would,
Please.
if that's
Yeah.
okay with the attorney,
Yep,
that,
that's fine. July
Okay.
27th, you said, Nicole? Okay, so any members of the public are here on this application, it will be adjourned to July 27th with no further notice. And I've asked this of the applicant, do you consent to an extension of time for the board to act
We do.
through July 31st?
Yes, we do. Thank you.
Can I just ask Ben, can you just repeat again what you, recommendations to bring for next meeting from the applicant?
Yeah,
Just so we get on the record.
applicant should bring a detail of how the decks are going to be constructed, with the locations of their foundations and supports, and the location of the stormwater management system that are adjacent to units 2 and 3. The plan should also be signed and sealed by either an engineer or an architect that would be submitted to the building department, so that we have a full design of what the deck is going to be, instead of just a plain detail that just kind of shows locations of foundations without any actual engineering design.
And do we need any plans on the drainage pipe that we need from the applicant? To
The
verify.
applicant submitted as-built plans, so those are, you know, show the locations of the recharge trenches. I'm fine with those. It should just graphically be shown in a detail showing where the foundations are and how, you know, the distance from the existing system.
And anything different do they need to bring if it's patio versus, you know, if one's patio, one's deck, one's patio? Do you need anything, or it just needs to be detailed on each and every one?
They could bring 2 separate details showing a patio and a deck and how the 2 would look over top of the stormwater system.
Thank you, Ben. Appreciate that. Anything, questions for us?
Anything additional? Questions? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you
your
for your
time
time.
tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to close the meeting at this time. There's no further business at this time? Okay, I'll make a motion.
I second.
And we have a second. Mr. Beal, second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everyone.